Genesis chapter 11. Now the earth was of one language and of the same speech. And when they were advancing from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt in it. And each one said to his neighbor, "Come, let us make bricks, and bake them with fire." And they had bricks instead of stones, and pitch instead of mortar. And they said, "Come, let us make a city and a tower, so that its height may reach to heaven. And let us make our name famous before we are divided into all the lands." Then the Lord descended to see the city and the tower, which the sons of Adam were building. And he said, "Behold, the people are united, and all have one tongue. And since they have begun to do this, they will not desist from their plans, until they have completed their work. Therefore, come, let us descend, and in that place confound their tongue, so that they may not listen, each one to the voice of his neighbor." And so the Lord divided them from that place into all the lands. And they ceased to build the city. And for this reason, its name was called Babel, because in that place the language of the whole earth became confused. And from then on, the Lord scattered them across the face of every region. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he conceived Arphaxad, 2 years after the great flood. And after he conceived Arphaxad, Shem lived for 500 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Next, Arphaxad lived for 35 years, and then he conceived Shelah. And after he conceived Shelah, Arphaxad lived for 303 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Likewise, Shelah lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Eber. And after he conceived Eber, Shelah lived for 403 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Then Eber lived for 34 years, and he conceived Peleg. And after he conceived Peleg, Eber lived for 430 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Likewise, Peleg lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Reu. And after he conceived Reu, Peleg lived for 209 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. Then Reu lived for 32 years, and then he conceived Serug. Likewise, after he conceived Serug, Reu lived for 207 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. In truth, Serug lived for 30 years, and then he conceived Nahor. And after he conceived Nahor, Serug lived for 200 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. And so Nahor lived for 29 years, and then he conceived Terah. And after he conceived Terah, Nahor lived for 119 years, and he conceived sons and daughters. And Terah lived for 70 years, and then he conceived Abram, and Nahor, and Haran. And these are the generations of Terah. Terah conceived Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Next Haran conceived Lot. And Haran died before his father Terah, in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah, and the father of Iscah. But Sarai was barren and had no children. And so Terah took his son Abram, and his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, the wife of his son Abram. And he led them away from Ur of the Chaldeans, to go into the land of Canaan. And they approached as far as Haran, and they dwelt there. And the days of Terah that passed were 205 years, and then he died in Haran.